UFC 319 isn't just a title fight, it's a trap. Now you might be asking, Slaz up, what do you mean UFC 319 is a trap? And we'll get to that. But first, make sure to subscribe. The channel is currently at 59 subscribers. And without further ado, UFC 319 is only 2 weeks away on Saturday, August 16th, live from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. The United Center is home of the Chicago Bulls and a huge arena. Take my word for it, this is an epic place to host a fight in an amazing city. And this card is a banger. I'll give Uncle Dana his props here. He was slightly cooking when he formulated this card. But to be honest, the main event here carries this card. Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis is a super fight. And I do not throw that word around lightly. This fight is one of the best middleweight fights that you and I will ever lay our eyes on. This fight has the potential to be the best middleweight fight ever, and there's been some legendary middleweight fights, like Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen, Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, Michael Bisping versus George St. Pierre, Yoel Romero versus Paul Acosta. The list goes on and on. But listen, guys, I'm no psychic. But if this fight is the legendary war that we all think it's going to be, this fight will be one for the history books. Let's get into the main event, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Number 3 ranked middleweight, Khamzat Chimaev will be challenging champion Dricus du Plessis for the undisputed middleweight belt. Khamzat Chimaev needs no introduction. He has already made a name for himself as one of the most ruthless, relentless, and best middleweights on the planet. Khamzat has an undefeated MMA record of 14 wins with 0 losses, with big names under his belt such as Robert Whittaker, the former middleweight champ, who Khamzat Chimaev submitted in round 1, breaking Robert Whittaker's jaw. Kamaru Usman, the former dominant middleweight champion, who Khamzat Chimaev was supposed to fight at middleweight, however, missed weight by 7 pounds, and Kamaru Usman took the fight at middleweight on short notice. Chimaev won by decision. And Kevin Holland, my boy, who Chimaev subbed with a Darce choke, leaving Holland bloodshot. Khamzat Chimaev has proven himself to be one of the most relentless wrestlers, literally shooting takedowns in the first 10 seconds of the fight and holding his opponent on the canvas until the fight is over. He is an unstoppable force. On the other hand, Dricus du Plessis is cementing himself up there with the greatest middleweights of all time. Dricus has wins over 3 former middleweight champions, Robert Whittaker, who he TKO'd in round 2 of their fight, Sean Strickland, who he beat for the first time in a razor-close decision to win the belt, Israel Adesanya, who he submitted in the 4th round during his first title defense, and Sean Strickland the second time, where in the second fight, Dricus du Plessis dominated and broke Sean's nose. Dricus du Plessis has one of the most unorthodox styles in the UFC. His movement is awkward, his punches look off rhythm, and his pacing seems sloppy. That being said, Dricus is a brutally effective pressure fighter who breaks his opponents down piece by piece. Dricus thrives in uncomfortable exchanges and makes elite fighters look lost doing it. Dricus du Plessis has numerous counts of round 5 experience and has proven that he can maintain pressure and output deep into a fight. That experience gives him a major edge over Khamzat Chimaev, who's never been past 3 rounds and has some faulty cardio. DDP is also just a tough guy. This guy wakes up in the morning to a large bowl of grits for breakfast. Dricus walks through damage, never breaks, and keeps pushing forward no matter what's thrown at him. This guy has some plot armor and an iron chin. The clash between these two juggernauts isn't just a title fight. It's a legitimate UFC super fight. On one side, you have Khamzat Chimaev, the undefeated marauder who breaks jaws, shoots takedowns in the first 10 seconds, and leaves elite fighters gasping for air. On the other hand, you have Dricus du Plessis, a pressure-built war machine with the ability to go 5 hard rounds and an iron chin that refuses to crack. One fighter brings chaos, the other fighter thrives in it, and when these two styles collide, the result could be one of the most violent, high-stakes showdowns at the middleweight division. Scratch that. One of the most violent, high-stakes showdowns that the UFC has ever seen. Let's come back to the part you're all wondering. Why is UFC 319 a trap? Good question. Well, this fight is a trap for Khamzat Chimaev. This fight is a trap for Khamzat Chimaev because if Dricus du Plessis can weather the early storm everything then flips into his favor. If DDP survives the first 2 rounds, stuffing takedowns, evading Khamzat's submissions, and forcing Khamzat to expend energy, then Khamzat enters dangerous territory. Deep waters he's never truly navigated. We've already seen Khamzat fade in the 3rd round before, and in a 5-round title fight, that kind of cardio drop-off is lethal. Once the fight hits those later rounds, Dricus gets to fight his fight. A gritty, ugly brawl where he thrives. That's the trap. Survive the chaos early, and then drag Khamzat into a war he's not prepared for. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I see Dricus taking this fight home. I think Dricus is going to weather Khamzat's storm early on, similar to how Kamaru Usman weathered Khamzat to a decision. I think even with his championship training, Khamzat will still gas out, and Dricus will get to break him apart in the later rounds. I see this fight ending by late round TKO, maybe in the 4th or 5th round, in favor of Dricus. Let's talk about the co-main event scandal. If you guys were not aware, the co-main event for this card has been up in the air for the last couple of months. Originally, Dricus du Plessis went and leaked that the co-main event for this fight was going to be Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. This fight made sense, and still does, as Paddy Pimblett recently won his last fight against Michael Chandler, and would need another top-ranked opponent under his resume to get a title shot. Justin Gaethje is currently not booked for a fight and also wants a title shot, and he would definitely earn one for beating Pimblett. However, for whatever reason, this fight fell through, and that brings us to where we are today. The official co-main event for this fight is now Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico was originally supposed to fight Movsar Evloev last weekend at UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, but Movsar pulled out due to an injury. That leads us to where we are today, with Lerone Murphy fighting Aaron Pico in the co-main event at UFC 319. Another banger fight, and my favorite feature fight on this card, Carlos Prates will be facing off against Geoff Neal in a welterweight bout. Prates, who recently sold the bag in his last fight to Ian Machado, the cuck Gary, is looking to come back into the win column after this fight, and I think he gets it done. I think Carlos Prates is going to bounce back and be even better against his loss against Ian Gary, and will have a little more momentum after this fight, and can definitely put together something, maybe earning himself a title shot. Let's talk about the perfect ending to this card. I think the Peaches and Creamsville tip of the tower ending for this fight is that DDP beats Khamzat Chimaev, cementing himself as one of the best, if not the greatest middleweight of all time, then proceeds to go on to beat Amavov in the future, and another contender, maybe Rainier de Ritter or someone else. And then DDP rides off into the sunset into Peaches and Creamsville, maybe even Randallstown for 25 minutes, and lives as the best middleweight ever. But yeah, that's my picks for this fight. Make sure you guys comment down below your picks and any points that I might have missed or something you want to see for the next video. But until next time, peace.